Yellowstone Volcano soon to explode. My name is Bill. Welcome to the Night Terrors Weekend Show. Greetings to Green Tea and Eldergrown. Greetings to Tea Plateau. My Banned by YouTube series drops an episode every Wednesday morning. YouTube said to me, take down 3 years of your videos. These videos are no longer on the channel. The only way you can see them is to catch them on Wednesday. If you value what I do on Night Terrors, in the streams and in the Night Terrors videos, one way to support the channel is through Patreon. Become a patron of the show by clicking on the Patreon link in the description below. Thank you for supporting the show. Welcome to David Bryce Jr. with the #1 crown. Thank you, David. T Plateau is there as well, #1. I mean, TO2 is here. Takama Olsen 2. Rhino Rex has arrived. Welcome, Rhino. Let's get started. And then Elder with a crown. Everyone's got a crown today. No idea what that's about. Something new on YouTube, I guess. Welcome to Brooke Birch. Raquel An has arrived. Raquel gets a crown. Congratulations, Raquel. Let's see where we go. We got to go to this right here, I think, and that is right here. Is that right? Oh no, it's the wrong one. It's the wrong one. How about this one? Yeah, how about this one? Here at awarenessact.com, we're just going to look at the headline on this one. Thousands of animals are leaving the Yellowstone supervolcano. It might blow soon. That's what we're talking about tonight, Raquel. And you would know this if you've been seeing those viral videos on YouTube and TikTok of all the bison and the elk and all kinds of animals just fleeing the park. This headline at awarenessact.com. Green Tea says the animals are freaking me out. The animals leaving freak her out. Raquel's hoping for the rapture. Here at offthegridnews.com, they ask the question, why are the animals fleeing Yellowstone? This written by the Off the Grid News staff. And staff begins. Reports of a sudden exodus of bison, deer, and other animals from Yellowstone National Park are prompting fears of a supervolcano eruption. To add to the fears, the animals' flight came as a 4.8 earthquake struck the park on March the 30th. YouTube blogger Tom Lupshu said of the animals, they detect something vast and deadly. The Yellowstone supervolcano is the only thing there that would fit the bill. Videos posted online show bison running down a highway, leaving the park. The Yellowstone supervolcano has been the subject of multiple books and documentaries, because if it does explode, it would impact the entire U.S. and the North American continent and the world. Some say the entire U.S. would be covered with ash, and we're coming up to that soon. Here at MSN.com, the story by Katie Oborn, entitled Supervolcano Eruption Fears. Supervolcano Eruption Fears as huge numbers of animals suddenly flee Yellowstone. I don't get the syntax there, but let's just let it ride. Congratulations, Elder, on your streak. Thank you, TO2. Much appreciated, ma'am. Whoops, I got to go to the right place here. And the author begins. One of America's most incredible national parks is a place of amazing beauty, and thousands visit every year. But social media has gone crazy with videos and packs of animals running away from Yellowstone. Green Tea asks, I missed a live stream? No, you didn't. Gotcha, man. Good evening, sir. Oh, thank you for the bits, G-Man. Much appreciated, sir. Thank you, sir. It has sparked fears of a pending volcano eruption, as people question whether the animals know something that humans don't. No kidding. Yellowstone National Park has a huge and varied range of animal life. Mammals roam the park. Hundreds of bird species soar above it, and the rivers support several fish species. National and international visitors flock to the area in hope of spotting some of the amazing creatures that live there. However, in recent days, welcome to Joseph Winnie. Joseph says, hey, Bill. Hey, Joseph. Joseph says, hey, everyone. Tina Tomaszewski has arrived. Welcome, Tina. Tina, a veteran of the old show. However, in recent days, the natural habitat seems to have gone a little bit off balance, with animals hightailing it out of the zone, with some concern that the supervolcano within Yellowstone could be set to erupt. We're talking this summer, people. However, in recent days, I read that already. One TikToker said buffalo were, quote, leaving Yellowstone in huge numbers. A commenter response said, a major eruption of the Yellowstone volcano is anticipated. And that is what I've read as well. Footage has been captured at Yellowstone, showing animals leaving the park in packs and herds. We're not talking stragglers here. We're talking en masse. All together. Rhino Rex says, how bad does it have to be to make the fish run away? Mystery Flavor has arrived. Welcome, Mystery Flavor. M Flavor says, well, that's bad. Bison, elks, bears, and other mammals are desperately driven away by an as yet unknown reason, appearing desperate to get away from the national park. Now, just what would happen when this volcano erupts? Now we're going to find out. Here at DiscoverWildScience.com, there's a story written by Trizzy Orozco entitled Yellowstone Supervolcano. What would happen if it erupted? Choosy heretics choose Carnation Revolution now. Love that name. Says Oregon realtors don't believe in volcanoes and earthquakes, so they don't have them. Welcome, One Sean Bond and family. And Trizzy begins. Imagine waking up one morning to news that the ground beneath Yellowstone National Park, a place famous for geysers, wildlife, and stunning beauty. Brooke Birch says it's crazy that all the animals knew to go to high ground, any ground away from there. Has started to tremble in ways never seen before. The sky darkens. People thousands of miles away feel a strange vibration, and scientists around the world hold their breath. This isn't a movie plot or a doomsday prophecy. It's the chilling possibility of Yellowstone's supervolcano erupting. But what would happen when this sleeping giant awakes? There are thought words covered by flying objects. The mere thought is both awe-inspiring and terrifying, raising questions that touch on survival, science, and the very future of life as we know it. Gotta grab that. Oh, it's not grabbing. Now, how do I do this? I just take it away, right? And then put it back? Is that what I do? Take it away, and then I gotta reduce this and slam it back, and then I can start over, right? Yeah, that's what you do. But you gotta get your picture back up there. By the way, we need suggestions, people, for later on. We need topic suggestions. And let's just slap that back up there. Yellowstone is not just any volcano. It's a caldera. Well, all volcanoes leave calderas. So author didn't do too much research on that part. It's massive caldera, a cauldron formed after the previous super eruptions, now quietly simmers under the park. Deep beneath the surface, I don't know if the caldera itself is simmering. The caldera is the surface of the earth. That's where the caldera is. It's more like magma simmering beneath. Deep beneath the surface, a vast chamber of molten rock stretches roughly 30 miles across and 10 miles deep. Thank you, Gotchaman, for the suggestion. And thank you, TO2. Got it. In fact, I'm going to put that one at top, TO2. Since you were the first to suggest in any case. G-Man follows after green tea. Thanks for the suggestions, people. Now, the scientists recently have extended their estimate of the size of this magma chamber from 30 miles by 10 to 50 miles. I'm not sure about the other dimension. It might be 20, but I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. Good idea, Rhino Rex. Thank you, sir. This magma reservoir holds enough material to cause catastrophic change when unleashed. Unlike the cone-shaped volcanoes we picture from textbooks, Yellowstone is more of a hidden monster, its power masked by forests and geysers. The last major eruption happened about 640,000 years ago, shaping much of the landscape we see today. Scientists continue to study this supervolcano, analyzing seismic activity and ground deformation for clues to its future behavior. The term supervolcano is not just for dramatic effect. It's a scientific label for those volcanoes that produce eruptions thousands of times larger than typical volcanoes. We're talking thousands of times larger. That's not a factor of 10. That's not a factor of 100. That's a factor of 1,000. For comparison, to earn this title, a volcano must eject over 1,000 cubic kilometers of material in one event. Whereas the eruption of Mount St. Helens in 1980 released then 1 cubic kilometer. Yellowstone's past eruptions have dwarfed anything seen in modern times. Krakatoa was a small one, too. You're right, Eldergrown. My favorite song by Nectar, Krakatoa. Blanketing continents in ash and altering the planet's climate. The sheer scale is almost beyond comprehension, making Yellowstone a focus of intense scientific scrutiny. Scientists are constantly monitoring the park for early warning signs. These include increased earthquake activity, which there has been an increase. Rapid ground uplift. It continues to get more rapid. Changes in geyser behavior. They have been, I don't know how you would describe geyser behavior without, I do not know how you would politely describe it. Let's just say there's more geyser activity. And that has been increasing. And shifts in emissions of gas. Seismographs, GPS instruments, and satellites all help track these subtle changes. In theory, a major eruption would likely be preceded by months or even years of escalating earthquakes and swelling ground. However, predicting the timing remains a challenge. In a sense, Yellowstone is like a pressure cooker, and researchers are always checking the dials for hints of trouble. Yeah, they're a little lackadaisical about this article is not a recent article. This is just about like a what if it happens. Those recent videos of animals fleeing the park are rife on YouTube and TikTok. If Yellowstone erupted with its full force, the immediate aftermath would be catastrophic. Choosy Heretics says, come on down. You're the next contestant on the 600. Got it wrong again. The 640,000-year-old question. Thank you, Choosy. A massive explosion would blast rock, ash, and gas high into the atmosphere, flattening everything within a 50-mile radius. The shockwave would be felt for hundreds of miles, obliterating forests and changing the landscape in seconds. Towns and cities nearby would face unimaginable destruction, with roads, buildings, and infrastructure wiped out in the blink of an eye. Survivors would be left to navigate a world suddenly turned hostile, with rescue and relief efforts hampered by the ongoing hazard. Perhaps the most far-reaching impact would be the ash. Volcanic ash is not soft or fluffy. It's gritty, abrasive, and it can be deadly when you inhale it. Depending on wind patterns, ash could fall across much of North America, reaching as far as the East Coast. Cities like Denver, Chicago, and even New York might see skies darken and streets covered in the gray powder. Air travel would grind to a halt. That's because that plays havoc also with jet engines. I'm not sure about prop planes. Eldergrown says, man's civilization cast in ruin. Right about air travel. Power grids would be crippled as ash destroys machinery and clogs filters. So power problems. Farms would suffer as crops succumb to toxic ash, threatening food supplies and the livelihood of millions. Elder says any engine that breathes would be clogged by the ash. No doubt, right? Don't run your car for a few days if you live on the East Coast. I got the EMP device, by the way. The what's it called? EMP shield. That's the device that supposedly keeps your car running after a nuclear EMP. It's supposed to be the best. It's supposed to be military grade. More on this in another show. I'm thinking of having them sponsor the show. Global climate shock, the volcanic winter. The eruption would send enormous amounts of sulfur dioxide and ash into the atmosphere, where it would reflect sunlight, plunging the planet into a volcanic winter. Temperatures would drop by several degrees, enough to devastate harvests and disrupt weather patterns worldwide. Scientists estimate the global cooling would last for years, with shorter growing seasons, yielding widespread famine. In the past, even smaller eruptions have caused dramatic climate shifts. The eruption of Mount Tambora in 1815, for example, led to the year without a summer, crop failures, and famine across the northern hemisphere. Eldergrown recommends a Faraday cage. Not a bad idea. Mando Villa's arrived. Welcome, Armando. Yellowstone's eruption would devastate wildlife both in the park and far beyond. The ones that are not getting away right now. Animals unable to escape the initial blast would perish instantly. Yeah, anything in the park is disintegrated. While survivors would face toxic, there's going to be no survivors in the park. Absolutely not. Contaminated water, toxic air, and the total collapse of the habitat. Forests would be buried. We're going to see a map pretty soon that shows how much ash would fall where. Rivers would be clogged with ash. Fish populations wiped out. Migration patterns would change. Entire species could vanish. The intricate web of life in Yellowstone, bison, wolves, bears, and birds, would be torn apart. Would be disintegrated, actually, with ripple effects felt across the continent. Green tea suggests living on mushrooms grown in caves. I would give that a try. The volcanic ash poses serious health risks. Inhaling fine particles can cause respiratory problems. It's really bad for asthma, and it could lead to long-term lung damage. Hospitals would struggle to cope with the influx of patients, especially the elderly and those with pre-existing conditions. Where have we heard this before? Raquel An says, yum, mushrooms. Rhino Rex is going on full Morlock mode. Clean water and food would become scarce as supplies are contaminated. Schools and businesses would close. Daily life would grind to a halt. The psychological toll, the fear, the uncertainty, the grief would linger long after the ash settles, challenging communities to rebuild and recover. The economic fallout in dollars and cents from a Yellowstone eruption would be staggering. Insurance companies would face unprecedented claims. Well, they're just going to fold, right, and cheat all their policyholders. Don't let me give them any ideas, though. But Yeah, right. Like insurance companies are going to honor their policies after Yellowstone erupts, while governments would scramble to provide aid and rebuild infrastructure. Some governments would. The disruption of agriculture, transport, and trade would send shockwaves through global markets. Food prices would soar. Energy supplies might be interrupted. What do you mean, might? How about definitely? Get used to periodic, if not, get used to periodic blackouts, if not periodic times when the power is on at all, like for an hour each day. Entire industries could collapse. Yeah, most of them, right? It'd be these try to survive at home industry. The experience would reshape economies and force nations to rethink their priorities, with recovery measured in decades. And it has some happy stuff about how humanity will survive. Yay! Because we are remarkably resilient. Green Tea says mass chaos in the city. Choosy heretics with advice about shiitake mushrooms. Thank you, Choosy. Next up, from animalsaroundtheglobe.com. What happens if the Yellowstone caldera blows? Again, we're not talking the caldera. The caldera is just the remains left behind by a dormant volcano. It's the ring at the top, basically, is the caldera. And probably the inside, too, and the outer walls of the ring. That's the caldera. It's the magma that's going to blow. And we did a bunch of stuff about the technical details. Let's go right to the results, shall we? Green Tea asks, are all the animals going in the same direction to the same land? Good question. I don't know the answer to that. How many entrances are there to Yellowstone Park? I don't know that, Green Tea. Good question, though. Rhino says the insurance companies will be like Joe Exotic. I'll never financially recover from this. I have no idea who Joe Exotic is, but I hope that imitation was close. Gotcha Man has a personal story. Years ago, when Mount St. Helens blew, we're talking early 80s, maybe 81. Days later, we went out to where some cars were parked, and they had a thin layer of pumice dust upon them. And the G-Man lives above the 38th parallel, up in the land of the free and the home of the brave, Canada. More geological history here. And more examination of explosions, which we've done. Massive ashfall. Let's get to the results here. Distribution of volcanic ash across North America. Models suggest the states throughout the Midwest and parts of the West could experience ash deposits ranging from several inches to potentially feet in thickness, with decreasing amounts extending to the coasts. Unlike ash from a fireplace, volcanic ash consists of tiny, sharp fragments of rock and glass, posing significant hazard. This material will collapse roofs, contaminate water, smother crops, render roads impassable. How it does that, I don't know. Unless there, as they say, feet of it. Then yeah, it's not going to be easy getting through it. Be like going through mud, probably, right? Or sand. Be like going through sand, deep sand. Picture the Sahara under your Jeep. The fine particles would cause respiratory problems in humans and animals, leading to thousands of additional deaths from health complications. Aviation across North America would cease. That's our airplanes, people. Because ash damages aircraft engines. Must be all engines, even prop planes. Because that has to take in air, that big engine. And reduces visibility to near zero. The cleanup effort would require years and billions of dollars. As volcanic ash cannot simply be washed away. When wet, it forms a concrete-like substance that can further damage infrastructure and equipment. Areas receiving even modest ashfall would face profound challenges to basic services. Hospital, fire department, police department, basic services. Your grocery store is gone, man. Grocery store corporations are, if they're still around, are declaring bankruptcy. Joseph Winnie says it's powdered glass, essentially. Powdered glass. G.T. Howard, welcome, sir. Okay, more sulfur dioxide information, volcanic winter, causing temperature drops around the globe for several years. Growing seasons shortening worldwide, with some regions becoming unable to support agriculture. Historical precedents exist for such cooling. We covered that. The year without a summer in 1815 from the eruption of Mount Tambora. Rhino Rex asks, how bad would that be on your lungs? Eldergrown says, terrible. Terrible does not begin to describe it. You definitely want to. I don't want to push an agenda on anybody that doesn't want to wear a mask, but wear a damn mask if you want to protect your lungs. Mondo V says handkerchief market suddenly booms. Buy handkerchiefs now in bulk. The combination of widespread ash deposition and global cooling would trigger an unprecedented food security crisis. Why don't they speak English? People are going to go hungry all over the place. The American Midwest, one of the world's most productive regions, would see catastrophic crop failures due to ash coverage and reduced sunlight. Quote, globally, agriculture would decline dramatically as shortened growing seasons, reduced sunlight, and altered precipitation patterns affected crop yields. Livestock would suffer from respiratory problems. Also, they're going to have nothing to eat because of the food shortages, so the livestock's going to pass. When feed crops fail. Marine food chains could also be disrupted by changes in ocean temperature and ocean chemistry. Computer models suggest global food production might decline by as much as 50% for several years. I could probably live on half of what the normal U.S. citizen consumes, but we probably won't be getting that much. It'll probably be for a while, like for a year or two. It's probably going to be really tough for food. Farmers have got to learn, the ones that, farmers have got to learn the new crops that they're able to grow in the short season under conditions of less sunlight, a shortened growing season. Such reductions would likely lead to widespread famine, no kidding, affecting billions of people worldwide. And there's only what on the earth? Is it 7.5 billion now? So they say billions. It's at least 2. Food prices would skyrocket globally, creating economic hardship even in wealthy nations. International food aid systems would break down. The dollars and cents consequences of a Yellowstone super eruption would be staggering, potentially exceeding $5 trillion in the U.S. alone. Many times the cost of any natural disaster in history. The devastation of the western U.S. would eliminate major economic centers. This is getting repetitious, and it is a little bit in the weeds, so I want to show you that map. David Bryce says doomsday preppers will be kings in this situation. Yeah, Gotcha Man heard the current total of human beings on the earth is 8.1 billion. But it's hard to count them. They keep moving. Thank you, G-Man. Green Tea says, get prepared to make lots of beef and deer jerky in the first days. Good advice, Green Tea. Mondo V says, bone broth hoarding. That stuff's delicious, but it's so expensive. That bone broth is yummy, though. All right, let's do the, let's go to that chart. I want to show you guys here at maybe realclearscience.com is where it is. Is it? No. It wasn't over here, was it? Boy, this is a long article. No wonder it's so wordy. Boom, boom. Here it is. I think I opened it in a different... Yeah, here it is. So it's hard to see, but behind all these colors is a map of the whole United States. Here's Austin right here. Austin, Texas. Mobile, Alabama. New York is here. Washington is here. Portland, Oregon's there. There's Seattle. San Francisco. Los Angeles is here. So underneath very lightly so that you can't see it. It's the whole United States. There's a 38th parallel right there. And that's the estimate. This is the estimated ash that's going to be dumped by the supervolcano eruption. In this middle area, right around Yellowstone, and going as far as Salt Lake City and Boise and what is that? Looks like Missoula. That is Missoula. And as far as Billings and as far as Casper, that's the reach of the maximum exposure to ash. And that's at 1,000 millimeters. What is 1,000 millimeters of ash? Oh, geez, this is a... I didn't realize that my air conditioner was on here. Let me turn this off if I can. There it goes. Hope you guys weren't hearing all that background interference. So let's find out what 1,000 millimeters is, courtesy of ChatGPT AI. How long is... That's Expected to Calgary, Seattle, Flagstaff, Minneapolis, Fargo, Winnipeg, now. Testing. Oh, wait. Test. Test. What if I do this? Is that a little better, people? How is that? Can you guys hear me now? Perfect, says Gotcha Man. Sorry about that, folks. It should not have operated thusly. That should not have happened. I do not know why it did. Okay. So between, we're talking between 1 and 4 inches as far as Los Angeles, Little Rock, St. Louis, Chicago, Illinois, Winnipeg, Calgary, up in Canada, Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, LA. So this ash is going everywhere, and of course, eventually worldwide. Thanks for the warning, guys, about the sound. I should not have done that. I don't understand what happened. I do not know what happened. All right, our first suggestion of the evening comes at 44 minutes past the hour. And that is from TO2. Candy Wolf says, yay, Bill. Welcome, Candy. Elder wants me to bring in the cat to find the gremlin. If I do that, I know things are going to go wrong. Tina T says, time to stock up on arrow gardens. And that suggestion is from TO2 or T Plateau. Trow Ghyll skeleton. Was he a schmatzy spy? Trow Ghyll skeleton. Any relation to Red? Trow Ghyll skeleton. Evidently is the guy's name. It is Trow Ghyll. Trow Ghyll skeleton. Oh, it is a skeleton. From Trow Ghyll? Let's find out. Unsolved mysteries at Reddit. You know, we've never been through one of these suggestion sessions with Reddit before. Let's see how interesting it may be. The Trow Ghyll skeleton, 1947. This submitted by Helen A.O. at the subreddit Unresolved Mysteries. And Helen A.O. begins. Green Tea says, Red Skeleton. That's a name I haven't heard for ages. In late August of 1947, a skeleton was discovered in a cave near Clapham, a civil parish of North Yorkshire in England. Around noon on the 24th, two friends, looking for a new cave to explore, found a small hole covered by stones. When the stones were removed and one of the men climbed down, he found a skeleton in decomposing clothes. There was a small bottle of what he thought was flash powder next to the skeleton. They left the area and went to the cops. At the inquest, the police laid out their findings. Is it the police who conduct an inquest? It must be. I thought that was like the coroner did that. Tina T says, my mother had Red Skeleton's autograph. Nice. I have a, what's his name? Barney Fife there. Barney Fife on Mayberry. I had his autograph, but it looks like an auto pen. But I wrote for a signed photo, and he did send me one. So, Don Knotts. Thank you, Elder. Yeah, Don Knotts. Don Rickles, says T Plateau. Close, you got the Don right. Don Knotts says Joseph Winnie. You are correct, sir. I've always thought that Steve Buscemi should play Don Knotts. He looks so close to him, you know, but that's probably one role he will never play. He'd be brilliant, though. He'd be just brilliant. At the inquest, the skeleton was found to be that of a man 5 foot 5 inches tall, between the age of 22 and 30, who had expired approximately 2 to 6 years prior. Wow, was forensic science primitive back then. There was no trauma visible on the bones, and the cause and manner of death were undetermined. The skeleton was found wearing a suit, and an overcoat, and a hat, and a scarf. The scarf was surmised to have been over his mouth at the time of death. Over his mouth. Not stuffed in his mouth, right? Like it was dusty, so he had to breathe through his scarf. He was thought to have had auburn or light brown hair in life and carried with him 11 shillings and 5.5 pence. All dated more than 8 years before he was found. So 2 to 6 years. We're leaning more towards 6 years. There's more clues in the money he had on him than anything else. 11 shillings and 5.5 pence. I imagine that's 12 pieces of change. I imagine a shilling is a single piece. But wait, 5.5 pence. No, so that would be 16.5 pieces? 17 pieces. So a good chance he would have had some modern cash, right? So we're leaning towards 6 years here. T. Plateau says he was looking for shiitake mushrooms. Around the body, there were 2 pair of shoes, one of which had been made in 1938 and the other in 1939. There was a mineral water bottle. What? Two pairs of shoes around the body. So he took off his shoes. What? There was a mineral water bottle of a type supplied to hotels in the area. They list here Morecambe, Lancaster, and Ingleton. And containing a blue crown top, not introduced until 1940. Now we're looking at still 6 years. Other items found with the man included a wristlet watch. A wristlet? A wristlet watch. Let's look at a picture. Oh, no kidding. So here's an old-fashioned wristlet watch. Shown on a man here. From Indiegogo. So someone's trying to bring back the fad of Indiegogo. Let's find out about it. As opposed to an ankle watch, says Elderground. Open a new tab. Here at Indiegogo, you can... Mystery Flavor, thank you for the super chat. Mystery Flavor says... Mystery Flavor with a suggestion. Definitely. Living Cynocephali sounds excellent idea. They're both really good. Thank you, Mystery Flavor. We got to move you up to the top there, buddy. After T Plateau here. Doing that now. Thank you, Flavor. Here at Indiegogo, you can evidently buy into the wristlet watch. How do we get to the Indiegogo? Isn't that where they raise funds? How do we get there? Visit. That's what I want to do. Here we go. Wristlet watch, the timepiece with a history, batch 2, about this campaign. Blah, blah, blah. Get rid of all this. No cookies, please. Confirm. It's a Kickstarter, exactly. That's that from Elder. Wristlet watch. Oh, it's closed. Ah, too late. Let's look at the good old days when it was available. We could click on it, right? Somehow. Wave Design Studio. Save for later. We can't see the old campaign. That's a little odd. You can't see the old campaign. Maybe that's all there is right here. I guess you got to watch the video. Just says closed. What was a regular campaign show? Yeah, view campaign here, right? It doesn't do that here, though. You can't view the campaign anymore. You can view the sponsor profile. Raquel Ann says she'll eat those cookies. So evidently at Indiegogo, you can't see the original campaign. That kind of is not good. You should be able to see the original campaign. Oh wait, it's right here. Choose your perk. It's right here, grayed out. You can't do anything with it. It used to be here. FAQ, you can see the first. Oh, here we go. Oh, that's just an Indiegogo FAQ. Is the product now available to purchase? Good question. If they're done with their Indiegogo, are they now in production? All they were raising was $500? Wow. They didn't need much, did they? Well, let's go to Wave Design Studio and find out if they're if we can buy them. They might have more about them there anyway, right? The site cannot be reached. Let's see what it used to look like. And for that, we go to YouTube Tools, Research, and it's going to be the Wayback Machine right at the top. Paste that URL in there. Looks like they went out of business in 2022. What is the date on this Indiegogo? Not dated, of course not. The internet lasts forever. So 3 years ago, evidently was the last time the page was up. Maybe. Let's see. Snapshot from January of the last year. Sorry, the owner of this website is not here anymore. What does it look like? There might be some stuff. Right here, there might be some stuff, right? 8 years ago. How old is this Indiegogo? And it's working. See that little spinning dial up there? Waves, it says. So that's the right place. Keep loading. It's done loading. All natural wood and stainless steel watches and sunglasses. But not the end. And here it says live on Indiegogo. There's a date here, but evidently, I mean, definitely long out of date. Wood and stainless steel chronographs. And it looks like we're not going to get to see it, folks. So sorry. Suppose it was early in their campaign. Suppose it was here where their most activity is. Let's go to the middle of 2016, May 10th. And it's loading. See this little spinning wheel? And what do we have? All things the same. So who knows? There should be, you think there'd be a link right here to their Indiegogo. Only $500? They went on Indiegogo to raise $500. Okay. We're just in a little bit of a jam. And a handkerchief. And something called a shaving tube. Yes, I must know what it looks like. What is a shaving tube? Is that a shaving tube? I guess so. You mean a tube of shaving cream? Okay. And studs. Studs like cufflink studs? Toothbrush. A fountain pen. Who travels with their toothbrush? In a suit and overcoat. A propelling pencil. This I gotta see. A pencil that propels itself. A propelling pencil. Of course it's an antique. Propelling pencil. Maybe they just mean like a ballpoint. Because that kind of slips along. Tina Tomaszewski also surprised that it's just a tube of shaving cream. They used to, though, and the old timers were mostly like the soap cake, right? You take the shaving brush, and put some water on the soap and lather it up and brush it on your face. That's what my grandpa used. Elder Grown with a link. Thank you, Elder. Ah, the old shaving kit. The safety razor. A boon to mankind. Tubes for... Can't be blades, right? Would that be for blades? No idea what most of that kit is for. Now, what's a propelling pencil? Cambridge Dictionary, good. A pencil in which the lead is pushed out by turning or pressing a part of the pencil. Oh, you have to propel it yourself. In other words, it's, what did we used to call them? Not automatic pencil, something. I have one here somewhere. Oh, I threw that away. I did, I threw it away. An automatic pencil. Yeah, an automatic pencil. Mechanical pencil, right. Thank you, Elder. A mechanical pencil is what I used to call it. Rhino Rex also called it mechanical pencil. Joseph Winnie still has one. Orville Cordero Guerrero is here. Saying something in another language. Let's find out what it is. From Orville. Okay, Orville. I do want to know what your comment is. And we're going to find out. Detect language, yes, please. We're thinking Spanish. Yeah, no, I think that's not good. Let's just not do that. We can't do that. We can do this, though. And we'll, oh, thank you, Tina T, or whoever did that. TO2, thank you, TO2. Yeah, everyone please disregard that message. A compass he had on him. A toothbrush and a compass. A box of matches. You gotta have matches. Tablets, it says. Tablets? Did they have commandments on them? A flash lamp. And toiletries. This guy was roughing it. But he was wearing a suit. And an overcoat. Well, maybe, and a scarf. Maybe it was like winter time, you know? Or close. Early spring, late fall. The man had a key, but police were unable to identify the lock which it opened. Maybe these days you might be able to tell. You would think a master locksmith would know, though. You would think a master locksmith would know. And they must have had master locksmith back then. So what is a flash lamp? I got a picture in my head of flammable fuel. Tina correctly points out that the toothbrush and the shaving stuff are already considered toiletries. Flash lamp. A flash lamp. Like something you take a picture with? No. Laser welder flash lamp. How about an antique flash lamp? Antique. Here we go. Vintage antique French. The flasher. Oh, no. It is a flasher. I don't know what that means. Is that a flasher? I mean, is that a flash lamp? Vintage challenge flashlight. I guess this one. That's a flasher, not a flash lamp. Where's a flash lamp? Where is my smart friend? What's another word for a flash lamp? All one word. It thinks that all one word is a one-word synonym for flash lamp. What is another word for? Now we get to copy it. A flash lamp, all one word. AI doesn't understand colloquialism. If it's an antique. You're referring to an antique flash lamp, especially one used in early photography? Were they only used in photography or in the 1940s? Were there also other devices known as a flash lamp? While flash lamps were primarily associated with photography, they were not limited to that use by the 40s. The term flash lamp also referred to handheld or mounted signal lamp. A lamp you can signal, a flashlight you can signal with. A torch you can signal with. Your mic is quiet again. Is it really? I look pretty good. Oh, it's quieted down, didn't it? What is going on with this mic? This is not good. I'm going, well, that's decreasing over there. I might go up to this much here. Let's go up here. Sorry, guys. I don't know what the heck is going on with that. Thank you, Elder, for keeping up with it. Appreciate it, sir. So, a signaling lamp. A signaling flashlight. Maybe it was a spy. The small bottle next to the body was not found to be flash powder, so was a photographer's flash lamp. It was a photographer's flash lamp. Not flash powder, but was sodium cyanide. The bottle appeared to be full, but Lewis Nichols, a forensic investigator, said it was possible a lethal dose had been extracted. There was also a small ampule containing cyanide as well. I heard that's a really terrible way to go. I heard it's painful. Ugh. Do not attempt this at home, people. It was widely assumed that the man was a German spy operating in England. However, at the end of the war, Allied forces probed German documents for evidence of foreign agents, undetected in Britain, and it seems unlikely that one has been discovered for so long. There are very few sources found online for this that don't simply repeat the Wikipedia article, continues the Redditor. I also wonder why the body had 2 pairs of shoes next to it. And although cyanide was found next to the body, there is no real way to detect cyanide that long after unaliving. So it could be wrong to assume he died from that. Yeah, it's not going to be absorbed into the bones, into the skeleton, right? So what do you think? Asks the Redditor. Undiscovered German spy or something else? Jess down the drain answers. I'm not sure on the spy part, but it certainly could be the case, especially given the time period. I find all the things found with the body to be quite interesting and odd. Kind of sounds like he may have been staying in the cave for a day or 2 prior to him dying. I think he did take a lethal dose, but I have no real theory as to why. Heleneo, the original author, responds, staying in the cave is an interesting idea, and I think it's feasible, especially since he had toiletries with him. Yeah, you got to be able to shave in the cave. If he unalived himself, then he would have had to block himself into the cave, which could be the case. There's not a lot of info on how the rocks were covering the entrance. So honestly, I have no clue. Someone local to that precinct might be able to get those records from the cops, right? You would think. Over here, it's a Freedom of Information Act request while they're still around. Overseas, I'm sure the UK has something analogous. I'm sure most advanced governments do. Most, what would you call them? I'll think about it. Some who deleted their name commented, although intriguing, I'm not sure we can assume he was a spy. There might be other explanations. The source of the cyanide or bottle might answer some questions about the man. The presence of it doesn't automatically mean he was a spy. I mean, do you really need that much? Do you really need a full bottle? They said there was 1 capsule. Maybe he was making capsules out of the whole bottle or something. Cyanide is also used to poison vermin, and it could have been purchased in a shop in the UK. It doesn't have to come from German spy agency. Wikipedia notes that the bottle was unfamiliar to local officials. It could have come from overseas, but it might also have come from a different part of the UK. Right. Deleted also asks, I'm also curious about the hole in the rocks that covered the entrance. The placement of the rocks might indicate that other people were involved. Did the rocks completely cover the entrance? Or was there a narrow entrance which the deceased man could have shimmied through? Well, even so, you can also pile up rocks from the inside too, I'm sure, most of the way. Until your hand can no longer reach out with something the size of a rock. You can seal yourself in a cave, I assume, if it's a small entrance. Or if you're really ambitious. Joseph Winnie informs us that over-the-counter cyanide was a thing. Let's ask AI. List 6 legitimate uses for cyanide other than harm. Gold and silver mining. Electroplating. So watchmakers maybe have a supply. Manufacture of plastics. Manufacture of certain chemicals. Nitrates, chelating agents, and dyes. Mike just dropped out. Yes, it did. Son of a gun. That's happening in real time to my... I can see the dial. What the heck? Wow. That's... I gotta troubleshoot this problem later. Thanks, Elder. Really appreciate you keeping up with that. You may be needed again. I appreciate it, sir. Medical application. Used in tiny doses. These compounds have been studied or used for the treatment of cancer. Not in the 40s, though. Nitroprusside was a cyanide-containing drug used for lowering blood pressure. During what period was nitroprusside used as a drug available from pharmacies? The 50s through the 70s. Always widely used, 70s to present, widely used in hospital setting, but started in 1850s. What is going on with this sound? What is going on with this sound? I wish I had a little box here I could put this up on. Maybe I could put it up on a... Maybe I could put it on my coffee? Oh, there's a cup right there. Let me grab that, guys. Give me a second. I have to monitor this now. Tape the dial down. The dial is spins around and around. It's the marks on the dial that keep going down. Those marks right there. Right now it's at a position it shouldn't be because I tested up here. That's what the volume used to be for the show. And then for a while it was here. But yeah, I got to get this where I can see it, people. Excuse me. Yeah, it's some kind of digital issue, Elder. Now, what would I need? Just one for this? I want this thing to crash and burn to the ground. That's not bad. Oh, that looks good. Okay, I'll try to keep watch on that. Make a big red mark there, why don't you? There we go. Won't be able to see that in a second. All right. So nitroprusside. It was started to be used in the 1850s. 1928 was when its blood pressure lowering effect was first observed. So it was available for druggists. Not a retail pharmacy drug. It's not dispensed for home use. No kidding. Let's just take some nitroprusside. Don't do this at home. Joseph Winnie says he's used in gold recovery. The Silverado mine is lousy with it, according to Mr. Winnie. Thank you, Joe. Lastly, Wikipedia does not mention the brands or makers of his clothing. Yeah, what labels was he wearing? And his watch. Is there any information on where his clothes and watch were purchased? Elder says his mother had blood pressure medicine, probably related to this that we were talking about. because she joked she had to take her rat poison. Oaktown Ringer comments, I feel like if you find a dead body with a cyanide ampule next to it, Occam's razor suggests A, that's how he died. B, given what was happening back then, he was a spy. Occam's razor indeed. Variolos Gagnonio says, that place looks like in the middle of nowhere for a spy. And deleted answers, he could have been trying to travel by back routes on foot and got lost. Permanently? You aren't ever too far away from anybody in England, are you? It's pretty well populated, isn't it? I mean, the forests belong to private estates, right? Something like that. Don't get caught poaching. There's like no public lands, right? No public forests or anything. In my mind, you know, if you walk far enough, you're going to hit civilization in England. Am I wrong? Are there vast tracts of land where you can get lost across the pond? Private motor travel was first cut down through petrol rationing, through gas rationing, then completely stopped in the UK during World War II, and the railways were curtailed for public use because troop and munitions movements took priority. Trains that did run were slowed down, took roundabout routes, and were heavily policed. Heavily policed. I wonder what the reason for that would be. Huh. Because they were suspicious there might be spies? Both winters, 39 to 40 and 40 to 41, were severe. The first exceptionally so. And the body was found, what, 42? No, found in 47. But if you take the outside estimate, he was gone for 6 years. That would be 41. Both winters, 39 to 40 and 40 to 41, were severe. The first exceptionally so. So if you want to go 7 years back, it might have been that far back. Well, a suit and an overcoat. A suit and an overcoat isn't bad. I mean, back then it was probably made of wool anyway, right? Or at least something that's going to be more warm than polyester. Which may have been a factor in the unalivement, both directly and indirectly, due to the roads becoming impassable. There were plain old oddities such as road signs, place names, and shop frontages being removed to confuse spies. For the same reason, maps, weather forecasts, and reports were not published for the duration. Wow, no access to the weather for farmers? Oh, that rots. All right, people, our next suggestion coming up at 24 minutes past the hour. From Mystery Flavor to it. Let's just, should we just copy that? No, we copy this. Or we go for here for this. And that suggestion is trying to get it. There it is. Living Cynocephali. That is, if they exist, that would be fascinating. Living Cynocephali. Those of you who are unfamiliar with the $5 word, Cynocephali are dogmen. St. Thomas is said to have been one. A dog-headed man. But living cynocephaly, that would be amazing. Let's just ask AI first. Are there tales of living cynocephaly? Are there tales of living cynocephaly? Yes, tales of living cynocephaly, dog-headed men, have appeared throughout history, and I'm not talking today, and across many cultures. While these creatures are now considered part of history and cryptozoology, there have indeed been persistent accounts that treat them as living beings, not just symbolic figures or ancient metaphor. Tales treating them as living beings. The most recent. Looking for a tale after the year 1900. Of course, the dragon spelled tail wrong. I'm not looking for tail, I'm looking for a tail. Here's a rare but intriguing modern era account of living cynocephaly, dog-headed humanoids, after 1900, drawn from cryptozoology. We have the Michigan Dog Man. Thank you, Elder. Thank you, Elder. The kitty's fine, Raquel. But if I let her out, she's just going to walk all over the keyboard and do even worse things to the volume control. I have no idea why that device keeps going down, but I'm going to find out from AI immediately after the show what is going on, because that's not supposed to happen. This device is supposed to stay where you put it. It's a dial. That's its entire function. Go to one place and stay there. There was the first modern surge in sightings of the Michigan Dog Man in 1987, when a DJ at WTCM-FM in Traverse City, Michigan, released a song called The Legend, telling of a dog-headed, upright walking beast seen by loggers in 1887. To everyone's surprise, dozens of eyewitnesses began calling in the station with recent sightings, some as late as the 80s and 90s. Described as 7 feet tall, with a canine head and crystal blue eyes, and a torso like a man. It walked on 2 legs and moved with unnatural speed. Unlike werewolf tales, it doesn't shift form. It's always walking on 2 legs. It always has a dog head, which aligns closely with the ancient lore about cynocephaly. Still reported occasionally today in rural northern Michigan. Choosy says, dang it, sorry I shouldn't give audio reports from a couple minutes behind. Oh, interesting, Choosy. Choosy says audio dropout again appears to be related of the timing of doing your audio searches. It's using this mic. It's using this mic. Okay, good to know. So no native audio, because I have 2 ways to do it. I can do it with the dragon. Thank you, Choosy. Choosy sussed it. Nice. Way to go. And that's from Choosy Heretics. Choose Carnation Revolution now. And I'm one of those choosy heretics. Tina T says, you are a genius. The Cannock Chase werewolf. Cannock Chase, of course, from the UK, post-1970s. Cannock Chase, a forested area in Staffordshire, England, has decades of sightings of a dog-headed humanoid, often seen standing upright, and described as having glowing eyes and long claws. Paranormal investigators in the 80s and 90s reported several credible witnesses who insisted the creature was not a werewolf, but a dog-headed man. Again, aligning more closely with cynocephaly than lycanthropy. Congo Basin expeditions. Some fringe anthropologists and paranormal explorers claim to receive accounts from Congolese tribes of a bipedal creature with a dog's head. That's a creature that walks on two legs, that live deep in uncharted jungle regions. They mirror the ancient Cynocephali of Ethiopia or India in Greco-Roman sources. These stories were collected in fringe journals and oral reports, such as those discussed in the works in the 1960s of the renowned Ivan T. Sanderson. His renowned works on unknown animals. He was a cryptozoologist. Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, USA, mid-20th century. Military personnel stationed at Fort Leonard Wood in the 40s, 50s, and 60s occasionally reported sightings of a large, upright, dog-headed creature moving through wooded terrain during nighttime exercises. Though dismissed at the time as superstition, folklorists catalog this under bipedal canids, or living cynocephaly analogs. Shows like Monsters and Mysteries in America, Paranormal Witness, and podcasts like Dogman Encounters Radio have recorded first-hand witness reports of dog-headed humanoids across the U.S. This is modern cryptid lore, 2000s to the present, especially in the states of Texas, Louisiana, beast of the land between the lakes, and Kentucky, land between the lakes massacre rumors. These beings are not shapeshifters, not werewolves, but appear consistently dog-headed and human-bodied, sometimes wearing tattered clothes, displaying intelligence and territorial behavior, which comes natural to a dog. Yes, there are tales after 1900. Yes, considerable amount of them. I wouldn't be surprised if they were worldwide. Green Tea believes she dated one a few years back. Not so much in the West, says Joseph Winnie. Wow, fascinating stuff. What was this? This was the dead dude. Is there more on the Cynocephali we can explore? What's the most interesting historical Cynocephali account? I think that one where the Cynocephali account where it's around the time of the voyages from Europe to the New World, and someone reported Cynocephali here in the New World. Let's ask AI. Which explorers wrote of Cynocephali, dog-headed men in the New World? Several early explorers and chroniclers, especially in the Age of Discovery, referenced dog-headed men. Okay, what else was in that reference? Oh, I can't remember. I don't think it was Columbus. Could have been Verrazano. Andre Teve. Sir Walter Raleigh. "100 words from each account, please." St. Christopher, right. St. Christopher, too. Thank you, Tina. Let's do that one instead, as a matter of fact. And we'll just replace living with St. Christopher. Yes, the dragon was still on, but I dare not use the other one. I was sharing a mic. Normally, neither program will be able to use the mic at that point, right? Or one is completely blocked out. I'm so lucky I have an audience that's got a brain. Well, it should have it immediately. Wait, oh, come on. Cynocephali. There we go. A common search. Ooh, let's check out some pictures of them. Images. Images. Click, please. Yeah. Open image in new. Okay, there we go. Let's check out this one. This one's interesting. Oh, that looks look at this one. What else? Oh, I like that one. That looks like more modern now. Here's one. Let's do those 4. Icon from the 19th century, from the 1800s, so not too awful old. Oh, 17th century. 1600s. Depicting St. Christopher. Why is it going backwards? It's supposed to increase, not decrease. Something weird's going on. Next. No caption there. And there's not going to be captions for either of these. Two saints here. Could that be Christopher? XR? CH? Is that what? No, CH is not that, is it? And finally, this one. Click to zoom. Can we open this in image in a new tab, please? Thank you. Oh, that's modern art. It may be based on an ancient drawing. Available at Etsy. Understanding the dog-headed icon. Why is there a saint with a dog's head? World of the Supernatural. Let's try that one. Catholicism's beloved cryptid. That's quite a sassy dog-headed man. He's one of the most... Oh, this is at worldofthesupernatural.com. We have an author here. Just says Catholic Mysteries. Anything at the bottom? No attribution whatsoever. It might, however, be... No, it is. Ursula Bielski. And Ms. Bielski begins. Is one of the most enduringly popular saints in Catholicism, despite questions that he even existed. But was the patron of saint of travelers a dog man? Here in the Great Lakes region, she begins, folks like me who love the paranormal share very similar bucket lists. Those places of legend and lore that draw us like moths to a flame. Way at the top of that list is a place near Elkhorn, Wisconsin, known as Bray Road. It's just a little country byway through farm fields, but it has become a point of pilgrimage for countless legend trippers over the years, as it is said to be the stomping grounds of a creature called the Beast of Bray Road. Witnesses of the beast report sightings of a creature described as wolf-like, with humanoid features. Such reports date back to 1936, peaking in the late 20th century, but continuing today. In fact, my late friend, writes the author, Linda Godfrey, initially a skeptical reporter, documented local encounters in the early 1990s. And later wrote The Beast of Bray Road, Tailing Wisconsin's Werewolf, which popularized the legend. Linda became the queen of cryptid documentation, writing many books over decades and distinguishing herself as the hands-down expert on dogmen. Creatures purported to be part canine and part human. I loved listening to Linda's stories. But little did I know, as I followed Linda's work, that the Catholic faith has our own inexplicable cryptid. Saint Christopher, one of the most beloved saints in Catholic tradition, is often depicted as a towering figure who carried the Christ child across a river. Hence his position as the patron saint of travelers, because he helped the Christ child to travel. However, buried within centuries of hagiography and folklore is a peculiar legend that St. Christopher was a Cynocephalus, a man with the head of a dog. This strange depiction is not merely an anomaly of Christian art, but part of a much larger global tradition of dog-headed men. From ancient mythologies to medieval accounts of distant lands, dog-headed humanoids have fascinated humanity for centuries. We must explore the history of the Cynocephali and how St. Christopher became linked to this enigmatic tradition. I'm just interested in St. Christopher. We got Herodotus, we got Theseus, we have Indian and Chinese traditions. Here are early Christian encounters with the Cynocephali. The association between Christianity and Cynocephaly began as Christian missionaries encountered local myths during their travels. Early church writings occasionally referenced monstrous races, including Cynocephaly, as evidence of the diversity of God's creation. These accounts also symbolized the church's mission to bring salvation to all creatures, no matter how other they appeared. Back when diversity was legal. The idea of St. Christopher as a Cynocephalus first appears in Byzantine hagiography. I know how to say it, but I have no idea what it means. Let's get a definition for that. At thedictionary.com. Study of the lives of the saints. So very specific ography. Hagiography. Also called hagiology. Hagiology. Also could mean a biography that treats the person with excessive admiration. So also used to criticize biographies. Where are we? Is it here? Thank goodness it is. So it first appears in the what they call the Western Church, because the church had a split, right, between East and West, and the head of the church in the West was Constantinople, right? Today's Istanbul. And, of course, Rome in the East, right? A schism, says T. Plateau. Was it an actual schism? I don't know much about church history, so I know a little bit. Just enough to get me in trouble with all the hagiologists. A key text, the Monologion, a collection of saints' lives, also a hagiography, describes St. Christopher as coming from the land of the Cynocephali. He is portrayed as a fierce warrior who encountered Christianity, converted, and became a servant of Christ. In some versions, his monstrous form is a metaphor for his spiritual transformation from a beastly pagan existence to a sanctified life in Christ. I don't see how that is a symbol of someone who transforms. Because in all these pictures, you don't see a transformation. You just see the dog-headed man. There's no transformation there. Dog-headed man with halo. That means he's a saint already. The dog-headed depiction of Christopher might have symbolic significance. The Cynocephali were seen as outsiders or barbarians, representing those farthest from civilization. So they continued to represent barbarians as dog-headed people in stained glass windows? Although you come to think of it, you don't see many barbarians in stained glass windows. It's a little hot here in the studio this evening. A little bit toasty. Artistic depictions. Byzantine and Eastern Orthodox icons occasionally depict St. Christopher with a canine head. Thank you, T. Plateau. I might take you up on that. This imagery, though rare. Where is those pictures? Where are those pictures? Was it right here? Was it right here? Was it right here? Images. Let me just open this in a new tab. This is rare. This does not look rare to me. I see quite a few dog-headed depictions from ancient times. Well, from like medieval times. Numerous different ones, so I don't know about rare. One notable example is an icon in the monastery of St. Catherine at Mount Sinai, which portrays Christopher with lupine features. Over time, as Western Christianity distanced itself from fantastical elements in saints' lives, the dog-headed imagery was suppressed in favor of a more acceptable depiction of Christopher as a giant. Dog-headed men in medieval Europe. The 7th century scholar Isidore of Seville included the Cynocephali in his encyclopedic work, Etymologia. He described them as monstrous, a race inhabiting the edges of the known world. He emphasized their animalistic quality while acknowledging their intelligence and capability for trade. Marco Polo, the Venetian explorer of the 1200s, described encountering dog-headed men on the Andaman Islands during his travels. He characterized them as fierce warriors who barked instead of speaking and lived as hunters and gatherers before they even had the term hunter-gatherer. Monstrous races in medieval maps, particularly the Mappamundi. It's got to be Latin, right? Often depicted Cynocephali along with other fantastical races, such as the one-eyed Cyclops and the headless Blemmies. These maps reinforce the belief that such beings lived in distant, unexplored territory, which is where they lived. Other dog-headed figures. The legend of Cynocephali intersects with various cultural and religious traditions worldwide, suggesting the idea of dog-headed beings is not uncommon. Anubis in ancient Egypt. The Egyptian god Anubis, with his jackal head, presided over mummification and the afterlife. His canine features symbolized protection, guidance, and the liminality between life and death. Liminality, liminal spaces. Spooky? The spookiness between life and death? Liminal spaces. Pardon me. The hounds of God in folklore and European folklore. Dog-headed figures sometimes appear as benevolent or protective entities. Legends of the hounds of God describe spectral dogs aiding the faithful, perhaps reflecting a distant echo of the real Cynocephali, including St. Christopher. Rockers to rockers, welcome, sir. Dog-headed beings also appear in Native American and African stories. These figures are often tricksters or mediators between the human and animal world, or warriors. I see a running theme here, that of dog-headed men usually being warriors. Suppression of the legend. By the Renaissance, the Catholic Church had largely abandoned the Cynocephaly, St. Christopher, as hagiography, or writing of the lives of the saints, became more standardized. The dog-headed depiction was dismissed as a relic of a less refined tradition. However, the legend persists in Eastern Orthodox traditions and popular folklore. They're saying it was more popular at first in Western Orthodox, but today it's more popular in the Eastern Orthodox Church. Interesting. In 1969, the church removed St. Christopher's feast day from the liturgical calendar. Those bastards. To make room for saints whose histories were more verifiable than that of St. Christopher, the patron saint of travelers, whose image has graced so many car dashboards over the years, not to mention St. Christopher medals. Many mistakenly believe Christopher has been stripped of his sainthood, but that is not the case. Can a saint be stripped of their sainthood? We must ask AI. Is there a process, and if so, what is it called, by which the Catholic Church strips a saint of his or her sainthood? There is no official process. Once canonized, you're done, you're a saint. Because in Catholic theology, as well as the Pope, you're most welcome, Tina. Thank you. As well as the Pope, canonization is considered infallible. in the Catholic Church. And I think that's all that needs to be said about that. Decanonization, says T. Plateau. And we are at the end of our show. Thanks for coming out, everybody. Don't forget that we have a forbidden episode coming up this Wednesday. Don't miss it. Until then, may God bless and protect you all.